About linear equations by plotting ordered pairs. We're going to find the intercepts, and then we're also going to graph lines from the form ax plus by equals 0, which is what I use the intercepts for, and I'll show you here in a second what that means. And then we're also going to talk about linear equations in the form of y equals a number or x equals a number. Okay, so let's say that we have this linear equation, x plus 2y equals 7. So the reality is you can pick any value of x and any value to solve for any value of y. And if you plug in that x and if you plug in that y, you'll get 7. So for instance, here, this is the one they're, oh, sorry about that. This is the one they're pointing out here. So they're pointing out 1, 3. So if I were to replace this with a 1 and replace this with a 3, I think that 1 plus 6 equals 7. So I can put this dot on the graph, right? Again, if I went the other way, let's say that I put a 3 here and a 2 here, I think that, you know, because we're going to multiply that by 2, right? So I think we can say that 3 plus 4 also equals 7. So I can also plot this point here, right? So all this is saying is that there's a wide variety of points that we can plot. And the goal is, once we plot those, that they should form a straight line if we were to connect them all together. So that is what's called a linear equation. Again, when I see the word linear, I automatically think line. And for me, straight lines is what we're talking about here. So we're not talking about lines that, you know, our lines aren't going like this and stuff like that. They're just straight line through those points, okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, a little graphing of linear equations. So what does this look like? How do I do it? Like, where do I even start? So we're given this equation, the graph x plus y equals 2. So what I recommend is to make a little table. So some people call it a t-chart. Well, I'll go with a t-chart in this case. So for the first point, right? So I'm actually going to make a little box because I think that's helpful. So the first point, I'm going to choose my x to be 0, okay? If I do that, let's say I come up here, I have my x plus y is equal to 2, right? If I choose that x is equal to 0, right, I'm going to replace that x with a 0 plus y equals 2. Well, how do I solve that? Well, 0 plus y is just going to cancel, so I'm just going to get that y equals 2. So I'm just solving that equation as if x equals 0. So then I come over here to my table, and when x equals 0, my y is going to equal 2. Okay? Similarly, let's make our y equal to 0. So I get x plus y is equal to 2. I don't know what x is. I know that I made my y 0, and that's going to equal 2. But what's x plus 0? Well, that's just x. So x is going to equal 2. Okay, so now what do I have? I've got 2 points right here that I have an x value of 0 and a y of 2. So I consider that the point 0, 2, right? If I were to put it in an ordered pair like we talked about last time. Here, I have an x of 2 and a y of 0. I would consider that point 2, 0. So now the question is, how do we plot those? 0, 2. Remember, you always start at the origin, and because it's a 0 in the x direction, I'm not going right or left, but I am going up 2. So that is the point 0, 2, right? So if I were to label that, that'd be 0, 2. 2, 0, I again start here at the origin. I come over here 2. I don't go up or down, so I'm going to plot that. So that's the point 2, 0. Now, what do I do with those 2 points? I connect those 2 points with a straight line. Sorry, that's not really straight. And then what we consider that to be is that is our line. Now, your book goes and picks 3 points. I'm not quite sure why. The definition of a line is 2 points connected by connected together. So I don't know why you need the third point, but anyways, that's kind of what the line looks like. You can't really see it. Maybe you can a little bit. It's a blue underneath my red one. So that's all we're doing on that one, is we are setting x equal to 0, solving for y, setting y equal to 0, solving for x, and then figuring out an ordered pair, which are down here, 0, 2, and 2, 0. And we have to plot them, and then we have to connect them. So this is kind of like I was saying in class yesterday, this is kind of like a 4-step process, so it does take some time to get used to. So I want you to go ahead and take a minute and try this one. Okay, if we let x equal 0, right? No, it does it for me. Okay, so here they took 5x plus 2y equals negative 10. They replaced this x with a 0, right? You guys see that right there? But what's 5 times 0? Well, 5 times 0 is 0, remember that. So that goes away. You're left with 2y equals 10 divide this by 2, divide this by 2, so you get y equals negative 5. Now, what was the x that I chose? Well, I chose x equals 0 up here, and I have y equals negative 5, so my point is going to be 0, comma, negative 5. Over here, I've got y equals 0. So now, when I solve that, I plug in for a 0 here. What's 2 times 0? Well, that goes away, right? So I have 5x is equal to negative 10, right? Divide both sides by 5, and I get x equals negative 2. So then that point would be negative 2, 0. Okay? When I go to graph it, 0, negative 5 is down there. Negative 2, 0 is there. Connect the dots. I don't like it. Again, they put a third point. Connect the dots, and there's my line. Okay? So again, x equal to 0, solve it for y. Y equal to 0, solve it for x. Figure out what those ordered pairs are. Plot those 2 points. Connect with a line. Okay? So, what is it called when you make x equal to 0 and when you make y equal to 0? Those are what's called your intercepts. Okay? So the x-intercept is the part of your graph that intercepts the x-axis. So that's going to be right there. Okay? Don't worry about these definitions up here. They get kind of confusing. We don't have to worry about those for now. The y-intercept is the point that intercepts your y-axis of your graph. So that's why this is the x-intercept, because this is the x-axis. It crosses right there. This is the y-intercept because that is the y-axis. Okay? So it says find the intercepts of the graph x plus 2y equals 6. Then draw the graph. Basically what you do is you let x equal 0 and you let y equal 0. I'll give you a couple minutes to try that out. Okay, x equals 0, right? It's x plus 2y is equal to 6, but I'm letting x equal 0, right? So I get 0 plus 2y is equal to 6. This goes away, right? So then I have 2y equals 6. Divide both sides by 2. I get y is equal to 3. You guys see that? So now, what is my point? Remember, my x was 0. My y was 3, so I have the point 0, 3. Okay? Let y equal to 0. X plus 2y equals 6. X plus 2 times 0 equals 6. This is going to go away, so look, I'm already at x equals 6, right? So what's my point? My x is a 6, my y is a 0, so I have the point 6, 0. So when I go to graph these, 0, 3 is right there, 6, 0 is right there, connect them with a line, and there's my line. Okay? So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So again, it's like a 4-step process. Set x equal to 0, set y equal to 0. Solve for each of those. Figure out your order, I guess that's 5. Figure out your ordered pair, plot those points, connect those points. Okay? This one we're not going to do. It's very similar. I just skipped this one yesterday because it has a fraction, and I don't want to go there. Okay. This one's kind of unique. So I was going to make this an example in class that you guys were going to try to figure out, but let's take a look at this one. So I have 4x minus 2y is equal to 0. If I let this be 0, right, I have 4 times 0 minus 2y equals 0. This goes away, so I have minus 2y is equal to 0. Divide both sides by negative 2, so I get y is equal to 0. So what is my point? My x is 0, and my y is also 0. So I have the point 0, 0. Okay? Over here, let's say that we let y equal 0. So I get the point 4x minus 2 times 0 equals 0. Well, 2 times 0 is just 0. So I have 4x equals 0. Divide both sides by 4. I get x equals 0. So the point is 0, 0. Okay. What is wrong or what's hard about that? Okay. So let me show you. Don't look at these for now. If I graph the point 0, 0, and if I graph the point 0, 0, the question is, how do I draw my line, right? I can draw it that way. I could draw it that way. I could draw it that way, or maybe that way, or that way. The struggle is that there's an infinite amount of ways that we can draw that, right? So, what do we need to do? Well, what we need to do is we need to come up with a third point. So remember, from our practice one, we were at 0, 0, right? So now I've got to come up with another point. The point I'm going to suggest, you can't really see it here, but I'm going to suggest using x is equal to 2, okay? Can I use 1? Sure. Can I use 3? Sure. Can I use 4? Sure. I would encourage you to pick a number between -5 and -1. I don't like negatives, so I'm going to pick one of these ones up here, and you just try it out, right? So remember, I have this point 0, 0 is one of my points. So let's say x is equal to 2. First step, multiply here. Subtract 8 from both sides, right? Divide both sides by -2. So y is equal to 4. Now, this is where you have to be careful. I saw this yesterday a couple times. So what is my x? Guys, I made x equal to 2, right? And my y is a 4, like I just solved for. So I'm coming this way 2, this way 4. I'm putting a dot. Now, guys, look, I've got a line. That's a terrible straight line, but that's kind of what it looks like, okay? So, in order to, if you end up solving for, you set x equal to 0, solve for y, and you set y equal to 0 and solve for x, if you get the point 0, 0 for both, or if you get the same point, I can't think of one, but let's say that both the x and the y, no, that would, I think 0, 0 is the only time you can get that, then you have to be thinking about picking another point. And like I said, you can really pick any of these. If I would have picked 1, the only struggle with picking 1, see if I can do this real quick, you would end up with -2y is equal to yeah, because you could have done that, and then y is equal to 2. Yeah, 1, 2, so that one works out too. You can pick 3, 2, the only struggle with picking 3 is you're going to get 6. So it's off your graph, so it's not the easiest of ones. So, anyways, this slide just says if you have ax plus by equals 0, where a and b not 0 and pass through the origin, you're going to have to pick that third point. Okay? All right. Finally, let's talk about the last couple lines. I'd rather show you than kind of work on it. So here, it says graph y equals -5. So again, let's do this. Now pick any x values you want. Let's say -2. Let's say 0, and let's say 2. In the equation y equals -5, you have to think that that is the only thing that we know about this equation. It doesn't matter what our x's are. All we know is that every single one of our y's is going to be a -5. So that's a -5, that's a -5, and that's a -5. We don't know anything about x. I don't see any x's up there. So that means that we get to pick a value of x that we want. So -2, -5 is going to be right here. 0, -5 is going to be right here. 2, -5 is going to be right here. And it's going to be a horizontal line that goes something exactly like that. Okay? So that one's kind of weird, but that's just like a special case. Same thing with this one. I don't have a y, but I don't like the way this is set up, so I'm actually going to add 2 to both sides, so I get x equals 2. Now, I feel so much more comfortable for that. Doesn't matter what your y is. -2, -3, 4, doesn't matter. What's my x? 2. What's my y? 2. What's my x? X, 2. What's my x? 2. What's my x? 2. So 2, -2 is right there. 2, -3 is there. 2, 4 is, I don't know, somewhere up there. And we're just going to be a straight line. Sorry, that's not straight. It's going to be a straight line like that. So those are kind of the unique ones that are like a little bit different